on the agenda is the discussion of the Pulaski County Detention Center and the Netflix docuseries Unlock a Jail Experiment. And our first witness, I believe, will be Mr. Eric Higgins, Sheriff Eric Higgins. Ladies and gentlemen, I will clear the room if I have any more outbursts like that. This is not a pep rally. And I have enough legal officials here that will remove the room if I have any more outbursts. Thank you. Sheriff Higgins, if you'll stand, raise your right hand.
Well, not everyone booked into the county jail will volunteer to be a part of our reentry program, nor will they qualify to be a part of the reentry program. So how do I transform the entire facility to make it safer? You take a unit that represents the Pulaski County Detention Facility. At any given time, we will have over 50 individuals who are charged with murder. We'll have 160 or so individuals charged with aggravated assault. We'll have drug charges and others. So if I'm going to make a transformation, then I have to take a typical unit. I did not seek Netflix or Lucky 8. I didn't reach out to any production company or anyone else for this. A Lucky 8 production company reached out to me. They were aware of our reentry program. They were aware that we were doing something different, that we're having a positive impact on our facility and on the community. Listen, when you come into a jail setting, when you have a detainee coming in here, there's an issue of safety. Do I trust the people around me? Does anybody care about my well-being? And you have to create a culture, create an environment where, yes, we do care, because I do care, because I am responsible for them. As Pulaski County Sheriff, yes, I am responsible for them in that facility in trying to make it as safe as possible.
Sure. I can appreciate your responsibility there. The individual that I was referencing that was in for life is the individual that went and murdered another person at CHI St. Vincent in Sherwood a couple of years ago.
Yes.
And it makes me wonder if you gave any consideration to how that would impact the families of the victims of these inmates when they're seen on TV this particular individual smiling and shooting a basketball. Mm-hmm. Did you give any consideration to how the victims, the families of the victims would feel seeing this on television?
I did take that into consideration. It's unfortunate. It is a terrible thing for someone to lose a loved one through violence. That's terrible. But the suspect or the person convicted also has family too, and they're concerned about how they're being treated in the facility. And there's always going to be a rub. In law enforcement, there's always going to be this rub between the family of a victim and the family or the suspect in how they're being treeted.
I guess I'm just more sympathetic to the family.
Can I say something? Just on the video,
Sheriff.
I just wanted to make a comment about the video. I mean, then when the TV stations show people being arrested and walking to and fro, they're also seeing them in that manner as well. And I know that is traumatic as well.
I'll
hop out of the queue. I'm sorry.
We're going to have to move on, and Representative Ray will put you back in the queue, or we're going to have to turn this into a docuseries itself. So,
one of the things that is troubling to me is the differences in how we view things. And I want the members of the clergy who are here today to please stand. Because I think it's important for folks to understand that various members of the community view this in very different ways. They are here because they support what Sheriff Higgins has done. I thank you all so very, very much for being here. And the vast majority of these individuals I represent. And they're looking for someone to provide humane treatment for people who have been treated inhumanely. And that's at the root of so much of what we're dealing with today. When I think of the 34% recidivism rate as compared to what at the state level, Sheriff Higgins, about 46%?
Yes, 46, 48.
46 to 48. So the recidivism rate at the Pulaski County Jail is substantially lower.
Yes.
Anytime we can reduce that recidivism rate, we have done something right. And at the end of the day, we've got to remember that this is what? Still jail.
Yes.
Perfect people don't go to jail. Perfect people don't murder or commit assault. That's why they're in what? Jail. Now, I am probably the only person in America that has not seen the show and don't want to, because it's not something I look at. But I do want to say that as the representative or as the senator for a lot of these folks in this room, if it matters to them, it has to matter to me. And I think it ought to matter to everybody in this room, and that we are viewing this through different lenses. We're viewing this through different lenses. And it's important that we respect the lenses through which we view this. Now, how much of the cost of keeping a prisoner, a state prisoner in jail, does the state reimburse?
I think it's $42, $44 a day.
And the total cost per day for keeping most prisoners is what?
Around $67 to $72 a day.
So we're not really fully funding the individuals to whom
No.
we send to the jail. Is
No,
that correct?
That's correct, Senator.
Okay, and as we go forward in this relationship between the state and the county is already dealing with this issue, is it not?
Yes.
And I'm not sure what our outcome here is supposed to be, but I would have been remiss had I not said what I said. I thank you for what you're trying to do, because as we make people more humane, then perhaps, just perhaps, they may act that way. Would you agree?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's the last time I'm going to say it. I'm going to start having people removed. If I have to clear the entire audience, I'll do that. And it's not very funny either. All right, why don't you just go ahead and leave right here? You. Yes, with the beard, the gentleman with the glasses and the beard. Yes. Thank you. Okay, Senator Dismang, you're recognized.
I don't want this to happen again. I think it's an exploitation of your prisoners that you allowed a film crew to come in. I mean, I assume that they all signed waivers. I mean, so that's my question. Did they all sign waivers and all of your staff sign waivers?
Yes.
Would you not think that would be under duress if you're a prisoner? Did they have a choice to sign a waiver?
They did have a choice.
Okay, then did that not taint your experiment pool from those that wanted to sign a waiver and those that didn't? Did everyone agree to sign a waiver, or were there some people in H Block that didn't want to participate that didn't sign a waiver and moved to another? And again, I haven't watched the show, so I don't know enough about it. I'm like Senator Chesterfield. I don't think that I'm interested in it. But how did that go about? How did that process exist?
So those who were interested had to sign a waiver that wanted to be, and they knew they were going to be recorded.
So it's not an experiment. I just want to know, who is benefiting financially from this whole thing with the exception of Lucky 8 Productions or whatever it is? Is anyone else benefiting financially? That's the question. I don't want to go down another road. I want the answer to that question.
To honestly answer the question as far as, you know, I know it's a broad question, what Lucky 8 did, what Netflix did, I don't know about it, but internally, then the answer is no.
So you allowed all these people to be exploited, including your deputies and these prisoners, receiving no compensation, so a private company could go contract with Netflix and have publicity. I mean, people don't create docuseries to make no money. They create these docuseries and they promote it to Netflix because Netflix is paying them, most of the times, a substantial amount of money to run the series. And so they're going to benefit greatly from your experiment, because the reality is, and I think you were doing it anyways in some way, you didn't need the publicity to do what you're doing. You said you already had the authority to do everything that you were doing. Is that correct?
Yes.
I applaud the fact that you want to do some programming inside the jail system. I think that's a worthy thing to do. I think we should be looking at every way we can, and we should be doing a lot more at the county jail level. I agree with that. I guess this is what I don't understand. And so no one finds out about this, or that it's happened. So there's a conversation in 2021, everything rolls along, and if I'm reading the press right and everything else, everybody's eyes were open that it existed whenever the promos started happening. What I don't get, so did you force the employees and the inmates and all these other people to sign non-disclosures?
No.
Then how in the world is there such a secret? So no one else signed a disclosure, non-disclosure.
No. I mean, the employees who wanted to be a part of it and be filmed, they signed that.
But the rest of everybody else in the whole building, so the only people that signed a non-disclosure were the people working in H Block.
People who were working with the production company.
Do you
as
feel like
moved
they
through
might
the
have been
facility.
coerced or felt the fact that their employer, their boss said, you know what, we have to have, I mean, would you not feel as though, I'd understand why he wouldn't want to answer the question too, sir.
Mr. Chairman, may I consult with my client without being interrupted?
Was anyone, who all signed non-disclosures to make this happen? Because again, it was tight-lipped until there was a promo that went out. Who signed non-disclosures?
Again, like I said in the beginning, I was not provided questions so that I could provide the answers. So if you want to provide me with additional questions and allow me the opportunity to answer those questions, I'd be more than willing to do that.
That's a pretty basic question. Did you yourself
I don't have
who
you're asking for a
distributed the
list of people. I
non-disclosure
can't give you
agreements?
that.
Who distributed non-disclosure agreements for the employees and the inmates to sign?
I don't recall the process, but I can get you the information.
I have a feeling I know where this is going for the rest of the questioning. And so I'll just kind of say it like this. I think that's what's inappropriate. I think people were taken advantage of. I think that you were given warning to not do this by your peers in the quorum court and the county judge. No one was against your programming, I don't believe. No one was against what you were trying to do, at least in trying to better the jail. And I don't think it took a TV show to accomplish what you were trying to accomplish. And I think the exploitation is real. And I think you put people in a very bad situation. And what I want to do as a legislator is make sure it can't happen again. I don't want people that are in prison being exploited so that Lucky 8 Productions can make whatever amount of money they're going to make. Because, like I said, you could have done this with or without a television crew watching you. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Totaling $1,100 a piece. One of them was made out for cash, and the other two were made out to the detention centers. So when legislative audit shows up down at your place, are they going to be able to track or find where the funds from those checks went?
Yes.
Where did it go? Where did the cash go?
So and I'm not familiar with the cash of that. You had money going on individuals' books in the unit to so we can do the phone calls and those things.
Wait a
so
minute,
that it
so-
wouldn't cost the county any loss of funds.
So the phone calls that you opened up to the inmates was paid for by Lucky 8?
Yes.
Okay, so why was one of the checks written for cash?
I'd have to go back and look at that because I'm not aware that one was written for cash.
So it wasn't used to buy another set of 21-inch chrome wheels for your county vehicle, was it? So you don't know where the cash went? Okay, well, and Senator Dees, you're recognized.
I had a question about the contracts. So I heard your testimony earlier about who approached who for the contract. Can you help me understand the length of time and what's involved with the negotiations of a contract with Netflix or productions companies with your team?
And with all due respect, I'm going to listen to my counsel, and I will ask you to submit any questions that you have for me. You asked me to be here. I volunteered to be here. Prior to coming, I asked, were there any questions, specific questions this body had for me? You did not submit any questions. So I would ask this body, if you have the questions, please submit them, and I will respond to them. I'm not going to answer
Okay,
any
you're
more questions.
excused, Sheriff. Thanks for your attendance today. And our next witness